Trig Quiz, number 7. Simple 5 marks, very, very short. Find the indicated side X. Now on your test, this would not be a 1 marker because it's multiple steps. I'd probably make this 2 marks or 3 marks. But find the indicated side X. I think what I really need to do first is I need to find Y first from this triangle. And I think I would do that by going adjacent, hypotenuse. I think the cosine of 23 equals 10 over Y. I think Y ends up being 10 over cos 23, 10 over cos 23, 10.8636. I'll carry a few extra digits, 10.8636. And now to find X, I can go opposite hypotenuse sine of 72 equals 10.8636 over X. I think X is going to be 10.8636 divided by the sine of 72. 10.8636. Oh heck, I got the answer right there. That answer divided by sine of 72. Did y'all get 11.4? No, yeah, people nodding. 11.4, 1 mark. Sydney, Marcus, and put an omit when you hand this in. In other words, don't not hand it in, then I assume you didn't do it. I give you a 0. Helicopter is hovering over a building, and if an observer 120 meters away measures the angle of elevation to the top of the building is 34 degrees, and the angle of elevation to the helicopter is 66 degrees, find the height the helicopter is above the building. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to find that and that. I'll call them Y and Z. Yes, Adam, Z. And then I'll subtract. This is going to be 34 degrees, the smaller angle, opposite over adjacent. I think tan 34 equals Y over 120. I think Y ends up being 120 times the tan of 34. 80.941. Dope. I think the tangent of 66 equals, not Y, Mr. Dueck, Z over 120. It's also tangent. Z ends up being 120 times tan 66. Don't you find you're learning better here? I mean, more entertaining. You're like, wow, I can hardly not pay attention without, like, I have to pay attention. 269.52. X is going to be that minus 80.941. Y'all get 188.6? 189. I didn't say what to round off to. 1 mark. Again, that's a multi-step question, Taylor. It'd be more than 1 on the test. 3. Find the missing side. Sine law or cosine law in A? Sine law? I don't have a pair. Oh! Yes, I do, but it's not blatant. Do I know 2 angles? Well, then I know 3. And that's when I have my pair. First, I'm going to go 180, 180, Mr. Dueck, minus 52 minus 56. Ah, this angle here is 72 degrees. Also a little bit better drawing than last time, Mr. Dueck. Thank you. So it's going to be sine of 72 over 18 equals, what are they asking me to find? X. Sine of 56 over X. Right, Danielle? I think that's fair game for me to not quite give you a pair on your test, but to, I gave you 2 angles, Sierra. I think now it's fair game for me to have you automatically know. If I know 2, I know 3. Right? It's going to end up being 18 sine 56 divided by sine 72. You get 15.7? People nodding? B. Side angle side, that's cosine law. X squared equals 7 squared plus 10 squared minus 2 times 7 times 10 cos of 81. I'm not quite showing all my work. I'm rushing to get through this. 7 squared plus 10 squared minus 2 times 7 times cos times 81, close bracket. I got that for some reason. And I missed the 10? Ah. Thank you. You get 11.3? Last one. Oh, let's draw the triangle. Okay. I'm going to draw mine M, N, O. Yours might look different. And this is not to scale. I've drawn it kind of looking like an equilateral triangle. Alex, it probably is. I don't care. I'm just doing a rough sketch. Little m is 6. Doink. Little n is 11. Doink. Little o is 9. Doink. Find angle M. Oh, we said call that A. And it's going to end up being cosine of big A equals A squared minus B squared minus C squared all over negative 2BC. Oh, Courtney, I knew to use the cosine law because I don't have a pair anyway. Cosine of A is going to be 6 squared minus 9 squared minus 11 squared all over negative 2 times 9 times 11. Courtney, do I have more than one number on the top? Yeah, brackets. More than one number on the bottom? Yeah, brackets. 6 squared minus 9 squared minus 11 squared divided by negative 2 times 9 times 11. Close bracket. The angle's 0.83. Oh, no. That's not the angle. That's the cosine. Shay, how do I find the angle if I know the trig function? Darn right. 33 degrees? Is that right? Okay. There it is. Except I'm not going to collect the quiz. That was purely for you to see how you're doing on this stuff. So those of you that were away, you lucked out. Any questions at all that you have from the great big trig review? I have put a handwritten answer key that I think is error-free. I also did give you the answers attached as a little one piece of paper. If anybody doesn't have the great big trig review, Sydney, you might not. I sent it out, but I can give you a copy. Hang on. Oh, you got it? Okay. It looks like this. So questions from the review, number 19. I will ask Raylyn, have you looked at my online answer key at all? So I will say, now it's messy. I did this a couple of years ago where I actually had a couple, my students, I had a class of 30. I assigned each kid one question and they came up here and they wrote it on here. So I will agree, it's not absolutely the neatest document on the planet. But I am going to then hold off in answering, so I'm going to say if you go online and check, and I have a couple of copies floating around here, by the way, you can ask someone to grab it for you. Yoink. Hello, number 19. Hello, number 19. Somebody's got a blank page in there. Oh, well. I have to fix that. This is what, oh, this person apparently knew how to write fairly neatly. I think you had to do the sine law and then be a little clever and do angle sum of triangles to find the angle that you want and make it work. What do they want you to find? So they want you to find that right there. The problem is all you can find initially is this angle here. Once you have this angle, do you know that angle? and you still have your pair. Now you can go one step further. I'd consider that a, you know, B plus A minus level question. That's a fairly tricky one. Okay. Test is made up. It's got, I think, 9 multiple choice questions, and then the rest is written. Any others? Okay. Here we go. Lesson 1. Fancy word, measures of central tendency. There's going to be some vocabulary in this particular unit, some new terminology. And then I have a quote, 98% of all statistics are made up. The next unit we're going to be doing is statistics. Statistics. Statistics is the branch of mathematics that deals with the collection, analysis, interpretation, and presentation of masses of numerical data. Basically, Boston, we're going to be trying to look at some of the basic math of making sense out of large groups of numbers. How? Dozens of books, all sorts of different ways, but we're going to start out with the basics. And the first way is to use what we call measures of central tendency. That's the fancy math word for average, except the problem is average is not a math word. It doesn't have a specific meaning. And because there's 3 mathematical ways to calculate the average and still call it average, you can lie without people knowing that you're lying. Example. Consider the following chart showing annual employee salaries at a company. The chief executive officer, the CEO, makes $325,000. Then there's 4 salespersons. They make $65,000. There's a secretary who makes $62,000 and a custodian who makes $33,000. The chief executive office decides to advertise for a new position. And in the ad, he claims that the average employee at his company earns over $97,000 per year. Is that right? Well, it all depends on what you mean by average. The way that most of you think of as average is the way that most of the public thinks of as average, and that's add them all up and divide by how many there are. Let's do that. I'll do it on my fancy schmancy calculator. Now, if you're going to use the fancy schmancy calculator, whoop. Hello. Oh, this is going to be a problem, Mr. Dueck. Oh, there, that worked better. If you're going to use the fancy schmancy calculator, the on button is right here, and then you want to navigate into the run menu, which is always option number 1. So basically, turn the calculator on and press 1, and now you're a calculator. And what we're going to do is we're going to add them all up. The average is going to be 325,000 plus, how many 65,000s are there? How many 65, sorry? Okay, so plus 4 of those, plus 162,000, plus 133,000, and divide by how many there are grand total. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's one way, Courtney, of calculating an average. We're going to give that method a specific name in math because average isn't specific enough. Oh, Courtney, is there more than one number on the top? Brackets. On the graphing calculators, you actually have brackets, so 325,000 plus 4 65,000s plus 62,000 plus 33,000 divided by 7. Does the average employee make around $97,000? Well, mathematically, yeah. True. Is that really accurate, though? Look at those salaries. Does the average employee really make $97,000? What does the average, depending on what you mean by the word average, Boston, what does the real average employee make there? I think 65. Okay. But this would be perfectly legal for me to write in my job description, average employees make $97,000 a year, even though only one person makes anywhere close to or more than that. So one thing with the concept of the average is an outlier, that's the fancy word for a number that's way bigger or smaller than the rest, can skew your data. Jordan Rich is an outlier in this classroom if we started looking at heights. And in fact, we're going to, later on, when he's here in a couple of days, we'll calculate just what percentile he is and his shoe size, because that's the one that's really off the charts. Okay. Or if we had somebody really, really short here, that would be an outlier. Or any of you baseball fans, what's the only player, well, only one of two players, to hit over 400 for his seat for one season? What's the last guy to do it? You guys know? It happened back in the 50s. It was Ted Williams. He would be an outlier. No one's come ever close since. Okay? Barry Bonds with his 73 home runs in 1 year, that would be an outlier. And we would start to suspect that something silly was going on in that because it doesn't match the rest of the data. Do we have any proof that he was on drugs? No. Is there some good mathematical evidence? Yeah. You can crunch the numbers and show he's really an outlier. So, is this accurate? No. What would be a more common description of the average salary? Oh, sorry, more accurate description. I think most common. Taylor, both of these have names. This is actually called the mean. This is called the mode. We're going to write that down later. Part of the problem is that the term average is not a mathematical word. We need to be more specific. When we say average, there's actually three things that we could be referring to, and unfortunately, you're going to have to memorize which one's which, but at the very, very end, I'll give you sort of a dumb, easy way to keep track of what's what. The first is the mean. The mean is what is usually meant by the word average. To calculate it, you add up all of the data and divide the answer by the number of pieces of data, like we did. Find the mean. The mean was $97,142.86. Okay. There's a symbol for mean. There's actually two. And they do technically mean something different. We'll get to that. But either X bar, X with a little bar above it, that's a symbol for average. Or we pull a Greek letter out of the alphabet. Physics kids will know what letter that is. Physics kids, what letter is that? What a cow says? What? Mu. Yeah. It's a Greek letter, mu. It's where our lowercase m comes from. Okay? So sometimes, Sam, when you say, what's the average, when you find your grades or when you do your grade point average, this is what you're doing. You're finding the mean. Scoring averages, for example, in basketball, you're finding the mean. Oh, they played 10 games and he scored this many points over those 10 games. Add them up, divide by 10. The median. The median is the centralmost piece of data. Most of you are getting your driver's license. What do you call that strip of pavement in the middle of the road that doesn't let you turn left? The median. In other words, the centralmost piece of data. I remember that the median of the road is the middle of the road, that piece of cement that's sitting there, right? To find it, you put all of the data in order from smallest to biggest. Let's do that first. Can someone go back one page and just read me out the salaries? Because I've turned the page. Or you guys have them on the same page? Yeah? Matt, read me the salaries from smallest to biggest, please. Okay, hang on. Write this down, comma. Yep. Yep. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. I'm going to drop the comma off the 325,000 because that looks like an extra term. Okay. Adam, how many pieces of data are there grand total? Count. 7. What location is dead center of 7 things? Liam. 1, 2, 3. 7 pieces of data. So location 4 is the median. The median is, this is the one you'll often hear if they're talking about our country. For example, they just released the budget yesterday, and you may hear them say something like, oh, and the median income of Canadians will be affected by this much. What they mean is if you put all of the incomes of Canada from smallest to biggest, found the dead center one, which is probably a bit of a better expression for average than adding them all up, because those incomes of people that make like $1 billion a year really skew things. Can anyone see a possible problem? Yeah. Ah, Marcus, what? Okay, if there's even amounts of data, if there was 8 objects, you know what you do? You find the 4th one and the 5th one, and you take the average of those 2. Halfway between those 2. We're going to write that down. But yeah, we'll have to adjust that. Odd number, find the dead center one. Even number, go halfway and take the average between those 2. So, by the way, are you already sensing, Sam, that was an awful lot of writing to do to get one number. It would be really nice if we could use some technology. Yeah, we can use some technology eventually here too. Turn the page. The third measure of central tendency is called the mode. Thank you, Shay, for turning the page. The mode is the most common piece of data. You know how I remember this one? Because the word mode and most common almost rhyme. Mode's the most common. Going back to here, what's the mode? Which one shows up the most? 65,000. Sometimes you can have more than one mode. Maybe there is one group of 4 pieces and another group of 4 pieces. We call that bimodal. In fact, sometimes I see that when I'm marking tests in my physics class. I had a test 2 tests ago where there was a whole bunch of kids clumped in the 90s. They had done their homework on an easy unit. And there was a whole bunch of kids clumped in the 40s. They hadn't done their homework because it was so easy they thought they understood it. But then when it came to test, they didn't. It was a bimodal distribution. All of these quantities, the mean, the median, and the mode, are called measures of central tendency. They're numbers that tell us how close to the middle of the data we are. Whether it's the mathematical middle, average, whether it's the physical middle, median, or whether it's the biggest group, mode. Oh, I guess I could have put the word tendency right there. I clued in, I have 2 blanks. Anyways, central tendency. They allow us to get a feel for data. It also will allow us to compare one piece of data to another piece of data. Over the past 9 games, the Canucks have scored goals in the following pattern. I made this up about 3 weeks ago, not knowing that this would be depressingly accurate, but maybe too high. Anyways, over the past 9 games, the Canucks have scored goals in the following pattern. So they've scored no goals twice, 1 goal 3 times, 2 goals once, 3 goals once, and 4 goals twice. Find the mean, the median, and the mode of the number of goals scored. Oh, you know what? Since we're finding 3 things, let's divide this in 3. The easiest is the mode. Which one happened the most often? We call this a frequency chart, and they're fairly easy to read for certain things. Mode, biggest, the one that has the biggest frequency. What about the mean? Okay, to calculate the mean, I'm going to have to go 2 times 0 plus 3 ones plus 1 2 plus 1 3 plus 2 4s divided by, how many games were there? How many pieces of data do I have? I don't have 5. 9. Okay. Come in. Give me 1 second here. Right click. What do you get? By the way, are you sensing, Alex, a fair bit of typing here? And we're going to shortly look at how to do this once on our graphing calculator and enter the data and have it do the math for us. But what is, let's see. Did it again. Dope. Okay. No, Mr. Dueck? It let me move it last time. Nope. Maybe it's where I got to go on the word new. Okay, gotcha. Bracket. 2 times 0, I probably didn't need to type that, but I will, plus 3 times 1 plus 1 times 2 plus 1 times 3 plus 2 times 4 divided by 9. Do you get 1.77777? Or am I wrong? Sorry? Okay. By the way, could you have actually maybe gone 0 times 2 plus 1 times 3 plus 2 times 1, 5. You can probably do some of this in your head. Anyways, the mean equals 1.78 goals. What's the median? Well, the median is going to be, put these all in order and then find the center term. How many terms were there? How many pieces of data were there? 9. Which will be the center one? Term number what? What's dead center of 9 things? I heard someone say it. 5, right? You okay with how we're getting that? Can you figure out by looking at the frequency chart what the 5th term would be? Wouldn't it be a 1? Because there'd be 2 of those and then 3 of those. I think if we put these in order, Emily, I think the 5th term would be a 1, would it not? Or have I lost you? Have I lost you? Okay. If I wrote these out, it would look like this. A 0, another 0. There's 2 of them. Yes? How many 1s will I write? A 1, a 1, a 1. Oh, there's my 5th term, but could I not maybe have cleverly figured that out? And this is where frequency charts can be very, very helpful too. So, median. The median number of goals is 1. The mode is 1. The average number of goals is 1.78. The fact that these 2 are the same number suggests this is probably a better example of the average goal scoring. Okay. "20 students are surveyed, and they're asked, how many friends do you have on Facebook? The following chart gives the results of the survey. Find the mean, the median, and the mode. Okay. Well, let's do mode first, way at the bottom, because that's the easiest one. What's the mode? Which one shows up the most? Right, between 5 and 9. You okay, Emma, how we got that, right? 7 of those. Let's find the average. Now, there's a bit of a problem here, because here, instead of giving me specific values, they gave me a range of values. But what would be a good number to use to represent between 0 and 4? I don't think 3. I think, yeah, 2. What would be a good number to use to represent between 5 and 9? 7? By the way, do you notice what you're really doing? You're adding these up and dividing by 2. You're finding the mean of the mean range. You are finding it, right. What would be a good number to use to represent between 10 and 14? 12? A good number to use but represent between 15 and 19? 17? 22? 27? Sorry? Oh yeah, there's a pattern, but you know, all I'm doing is I'm saying, you know what? If they give you a range, add them up and divide by 2 and use that as your approximate representation. Because we're going to go like this to find the mean. Two 2s plus 7 7s plus how many 12s? Sam? Yep. 1 12 plus 6 17s plus 2 22s plus 2 27s divided by how many pieces of data are there grand total? And don't say 6 because there's not. 20? What's the mean? Yes, it's lots of typing. Shut up and live with it. For a little bit longer. Shay, what'd you get? Uh-huh. Marcus, what'd you... Oh, still typing? Raylan, what'd you get? Anybody else? Because there's so much typing, there's lots of room to make dumb mistakes, so I want to consider... 13.25? I've seen 2 people nod. Look a bit more. No? Yeah? We're going to write that down because we're going to do it with the graphing calculator in a bit anyway, so we can confirm our answer. So 13.25? Okay. What about the median? Abbreviation, MEAD. Shay, how many terms are there, grand total? Where's halfway going to be? Ooh. This is Marcus's problem. You know what halfway is going to be? Between 10 and 11. Median is going to be between 10th and 11th term. Looking at this frequency chart, can you figure out what's sitting at the 10th term? Well, here's 2 things. And then Emily, there's 7 more things. That's 9 things. You know what? I think the 10th term is 12. And you know what the 11th term is going to be? It's going to be in this row right here, which is 17. So to find the median, 12 plus 17 divided by 2, that should give us halfway between them. 29 divided by 2, 14.5? Yeah. Okay. I don't think the mode would be the best representation, because do you notice the mode is 7 friends, which happened 7 times, but there's another one over here that happened almost as many times. This is nearly bimodal. I don't think I'd use the mode. I think either the mean or the median would be a better representation, because they're pretty close to each other. Does that make sense? That's how you can use this to kind of analyze things mathematically. By the way, we could also organize this frequency table above into a bar graph called a histogram, where we graph on the y-axis frequency. See how clever that was to be able to write? Huh? Eh? And on the x-axis, number of friends. What's the biggest frequency that appeared on the chart? 7? So you know what? I'm going to break this into, how about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Make equal hash marks about that big. Or I could have pulled out a ruler and done this really, really accurately. Measure 7 centimeters, let's say. 2, 4, 6. Oh heck, I'll even add an 8. How many different categories were there from that chart? 6? If I go from here to here, that's not very good. There, I broke it up into 6. What was the first category from what to what? 0 to 4. What was the frequency of 0 to 4? Yoink. Sierra, what was the second category from what to what? What was the frequency? 7? Yoink. I went a little too high. Shoot. 7 right there. You've seen bar graphs before. Oh, Alex, what was the next column was what? Sorry, next category was what? 10 to... Oh, you know what? Let's fill all those in. 10 to 14, and then it was 15 to 19, 20 to 24, 25 to 29, right? What was the 10 to 14 frequency? So I'll do the bar 1 high. Yoink. Devin, what was the 15 to 19 frequency? Oh. 20 to 24 was 2 and 2. Oh, okay. 2. So there's a histogram. You'll sometimes be given your data like this, but Adam, it will be typed and easier to read than my freehand crappy sketch here. You'll be able to tell exactly how high stuff is. The chart is easier to do math with. The histogram, way more visual. You glance at this and you can right away tell which one's the biggest, right? Okay. Next page. Big stretch. Now let's start to play with the graphing calculators just a little bit. I'll probably get through one example and then I'll quit, and then on Tuesday we'll pick up with the second example to jog your memory here. So using a Casio graphing calculator to find measures of central tendency. By the way, my menu, when I press the menu button, I think my stuff is in a different place, but we're going to be using the stat menu. What number is that on your calculator? Oh, is it option number 2? Okay, because I think some of mine further down look a bit different from yours, yeah? Anyhow, it says using a graphing calculator, here are the number of points that Jordan scored for the past 10 games. Calculate the mean, the median, and the mode using a regular calculator. Okay, the mean is going to be 18 plus 20 plus 16 plus 12 plus 16 plus 17 plus 3 plus 20 plus 20 plus 22 divided by 10. Go, Boston. This is the last time that I'll make you do these by hand, and then it will be your choice. I don't know. Could I figure that out by looking at the data that's in front of me? And that you never want to go with my writing because it's atrocious. Liam, what'd you get? Oh. And this is how you calculate scoring average. So Emily, this would be a legitimate. What, sorry? Oh. Sam, what'd you get? Hello. Johnson, what'd you get? Where's the delete button on here? Probably the one that says DEL, right there. Press exit first. If you're ever stuck and the keys aren't responding, look up. So you press that, press that, press clear. That's okay. Now if you go back arrow, it'll bring back your last line. Okay? Oh, handy. Gee, would that be handy in the cosine law if you made a type? Yeah. You have him divided by 10. No way his scoring average is 144.2 points a game. I know Jordan. He ain't that good. Right? Sorry? 16.4? Because there's more than one number on the top. What about Courtney? Is there more than one? Yeah, brackets. 16.4? Okay. Let's do the easy one. What's the mode? Which number shows up the most often? 20? Median. Unfortunately, I can't say, oh, it's those two. I have to put them in order first from smallest to biggest. So if they give them to you jumbled up, the only way to do the median is to rewrite them in order from smallest to biggest. 3. 12. 16. 16. 17. 18. 3 20s. 22. How many pieces of data are there? Sorry? 10? So the median is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The median is going to be right there. Odd number, it's easy to find the median. It's a specific location. Even number, it's going to be between 5 and 6. Oh. The median is going to be 17 plus 18 divided by 2, halfway between those two guys. Which is what? Emily, what'd you get? Sorry? Can't be. Halfway between, isn't it 17.5? No, 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 no. What's exactly halfway between, that's the median. Okay. Let's see if we can get some technology to do some of this for us. Now, we're not going to be able to get away from typing the numbers out at least once. Once we have them typed in, we can use them over and over and over and over and over. You'll notice, Simon, I rewrote it once here and once here. I mean, there's got to be a better way than rewriting the same thing over and over. So in order to use a graphing calculator, we need to access the stat menu. If you press menu and select the stat option, menu, stat, your screen should look like this. Yes? What we're going to do is we're going to enter Jordan's scores, navigate your arrows until you're in list 1, and we can enter Jordan's scores directly into list 1 by going, okay, I got to erase this. Yoink. 18, enter. 20, enter, start typing. And you should end up with your screen looking just like mine, sitting with a blank square next to the number 11 and with 10 pieces above it. And all I can say to you here, Aaron, is be very careful when you're entering the data, because if you screw this up, everything's wrong after this. So be a little bit like really step up, take your time, double check, glance, make sure you get the data entered correctly. Anybody need more time, or are we all there? Oh, by the way, if you make a mistake, what button do you think deletes a cell? Delete. Whoops. Whoops. Anyways, let's put them back. There was a 20 there, a 22 there. Okay. We want to do a calculation. Which of these menus do you think would let me do a calculation? And what function key is calc lining up with? So if you press F2, that should bring up this menu. I'm also trying to teach you how you can remember what to do by looking at words. Oh, I want to calculate something. Calc. And we want one variable stats, and all we're going to be doing this year is one variable stats. So we want one var, which is F1. You there? Did it again. Come on, you're really confusing me here. No, you know what it is? I can't use the pen. It's a different type of cursor. That's part of it too. Okay. Mine. So hang on, Mr. Dueck. Where was I? Exit. Sorry, first, before we hit one var, press exit to get back to this menu here. So it should say one var, two var, reg, and set. I forgot, first we have to set things up. We have to tell it how we're going to do stuff. So press F6 for set. That will take you to this screen here. And what we need to do is we need to tell the calculator what list we typed the data in. What list did we type the data in? List number 1. If you had typed it into list 2, you could press the list button and it lets you select, it lets you tell it which list you typed it in. But we typed it into list 1. And we didn't do a frequency table. Everything was just entered once. So by default, the frequency is 1, or F1. So your screen should look like that. So make certain that you've selected list 1. If a different list appears, hit list, which is F1, and select the appropriate number. The second row asks for a frequency count. For now, make sure it says a frequency of 1. Press exit to get back to the previous menu. And then Press what? How do we get our calculated results? 1 bar. So if you hit that, does everybody's screen look like this? If not, now's the time to come call me. Okay. From now on, when I'm doing graphing calculator stuff, if you get lost, stop me then. It does me no good to go back, way back when. Okay? So, did you enter the data successfully? Let me pause the video.
I got lost when
Hang on.
the F6 thing.
I got to repeat myself because I forgot to turn the recording back on. There's the mean, 16.4. Here, it's added everything up. These ones we're going to talk about. N is the number of data points. Min x equals 3. What do you think that is? The smallest number of points scored, the smallest data point. Those are called quartiles. Don't worry about Q's. What do you think the mean? Ah, there's the mean. Was it 17.5? Is that what we found when we did it by hand? Oh, cool. That's a third quartile. Don't let that freak you out. What do you think max x is? What do you think mod? Oh, no, I'm not going to say mod. What do you think mode is? Mode. Ah, there's the mode. This is telling you how many modes there were. It's a one-modal distribution, not a bimodal or a trimodal. And then there's other stuff you don't need to know. There's a whole bunch of information here, but certainly Sierra, some of it we can already use. Okay? So, each of these numbers means something. What do you think is the mean? X bar. Right? What do you think is the median? Med. What do you think is the mode? Mode. I'm going to argue that's probably faster as soon as you have more than 10 pieces of data to go to the calculator. If I have 5 pieces of data or less, you know what, Boston, I'll do it by hand. I'll just add them up, divide by 5, and I'll put them in order quickly and find the median and the mode I can spot. What do the other symbols represent? Preview of coming attractions. What's your homework? Finish or work on the Trig review.